Hello everyone, this is Moses from Wilona's Cave. We will continue the story with our adventurers. At the end of our last episode though, I had the party make camp and rest. Now our team has rested and all of them have now leveled up, which hasn't happened yet, and we're already on episode 15. There will also be some ideas and things I didn't think of in the last episode that I wish I did, but I'll talk about them in this episode. Typically with Mythic, we roll to see if the beginning of the scene has been modified, but I am going to skip that and go straight to the action and subject tables like you usually would if you rolled an interrupt scene in the Mythic scene setup. The reason being is something that was said because of the roll on the fate chart in the last episode. In the last episode, I had Avon, the wizard, roll for Detect Magic, which he succeeded in. But when I went to the fate chart to see if there was magic in this dungeon, I rolled a 100, which is an extreme no. And my house rules are that a 1 and a 100 are critical extremes. In the last episode, I interpreted Avon the wizard's detect magic roll of a critical extreme no, as there was no magic anywhere in the dungeon, period. But when our adventurers were first trapped in this dungeon, they were faced with a magic door. So that leads me to believe that they are not in the physical realm and are trapped in their minds. They are physically not in a dungeon. So to help us understand how we got into this mess, let's go to our action and subject tables through Mythic. Let's drop in a D100 and roll. For the action, we rolled a 51, which is overindulge. And now for the subject, we rolled a 28. Pleasures. Overindulge pleasures. I got it. Somebody stole treasure. If you remember, there was a dragon skeleton in the cave, and around the dragon skeleton was treasure. Maybe one of the group members took a little bit of treasure, and it might have been a trap. That could have been the trap itself that Sinethel detected as well. Somebody took treasure, and the trap was that they all became unconscious. Maybe there was gas released and they all got knocked out. Due to this, the group ended up in the same trap dungeon where there is possibly no way to get out by fighting through. The only way to get out is by some other way. Thankfully, I had the team rest at the end of the last episode so they could level up. They're all at level 2 now and gained 1 advanced move each in Dungeon World. So now the team is rested. They consumed rations except for Sinethel, the druid. She doesn't need to eat or drink as long as her feet directly touch the ground. That's a Dungeon World rule. They all gained a level because of the rest, healed half of their max HP, and any used spell is now prepared once again. The team had to make camp, and someone had to take watch. We will roll on that in a little bit if there was an encounter, like a wandering monster or maybe something more cinematic. We'll see. But first I want to use Sinethel's new advanced move of Communion of Whispers. If I remember, I'll put up a screenshot of that move so you guys can read it. So basically, Sinethel, the druid, spends time in a place. They can roll with wisdom, which she has a +2. You'll be granted a vision of significance to you, your allies, and the spirits around you. That's for a roll of a 10+. Then it degrades from there the lower you roll on a 2d6. So before I play out the narrative, let's have Sinethel roll for Communion of Whispers. So let's drop a 2d6. I wish it was that roll of a 12. That would have been nice, but I always do the reroll. And the reroll is a 10. +2 for wisdom is a 12. It's not a nat 12, but it's still a complete success. So on a roll of a 10+, the vision will be clear and helpful to you. So now let's go to Mythic's action and subject tables and combine those 2 rolls to focus on something that will be helpful. Okay, let's drop in a D100 and roll for the action, which is a 14. Abandon. And now let's roll for the subject, and we roll a 34, which is expectations. Abandon expectations. So Sinithil the Druid has eccentric vision around abandoned expectations. We have to remember why, and it's been a while unfortunately, but we have to remember why we entered this cave. The reason was that the sheriff from the town of Acton told us that there was a secret in the dragon's cave and that she sent her deputy to go and investigate. But after sending him, he has been missing for the past few days. So let's go back a bit before the team decided to make camp in the dungeon. While everyone was getting ready to sleep, Gorm volunteered to take watch. Now let's go to the narrative. Sinithil tells Gorm, "Gorm, I'm going to try a new advanced move and try to use Communion of Whispers. Hopefully the player rolls a success and I don't get a traumatizing vision." Gorm looks at Sinithil and replies, "Well, I don't know who this player you speak of is or what you're talking about. But if you have to do it, then go ahead. I'll keep watch. Don't worry, I'll protect you." So Sinithil kneels down, meditates, and tries to clear her mind. And then suddenly the sounds of the cave begin to get quiet. The dripping of the water from the cave's stalactites stopped, and the sounds of the rats are now gone. Then suddenly she found herself in a dark place full of fog. She could not see farther than 20 feet or so from all directions, sort of like in Assassin's Creed when you're waiting forever for the game map to load. She then hears a voice speak to her. "The one thing that I despise the most with humans was their greed. You stole from my treasure." Then Sinithil interrupts. "I did not steal anything from the treasure." The voice continues. "Someone stole from me in your group. I noticed him when your wizard asked me questions through the spirit realm." Sinithil replied, "Are you the spirit of the dragon from the bones we found in the cave? And are you the one that trapped us here?" The dragon responds, "Yes. It was I that trapped you because one of you stole something special of mine." Sinithil had a confused look on her face and replied, "I can assure you that no one took any of your treasure." And then the dragon became angry. "I know one of you stole it! You stole my most prized possession! Your barbarian took it!" At that moment, the dragon sends a vision to Sinithil's mind of the past as proof of the theft. Now I have a feeling. Let me roll in the fate chart and ask if what I am thinking is actually what happened. We are at a chaos factor of 6. I'm going to roll 50-50, so a roll of 65 or below is a yes. And the roll is a 46, so the answer is awesomely a yes. Now time for a little flashback from the previous episodes. Avon looks at the team and says, "He said he died by a single man, an unarmored man, slayed him." Once the vision subsides, the dragon continues. "So you see, after your barbarian slayed me, he then stole from me something special of mine." Sinithil was confused. The vision of the barbarian that slayed this dragon and stole something from the pile of treasure did indeed look like Gorm, but it wasn't him. Now, when you create characters in Dungeon World, there are bonds you can use. You input names for the bonds that the party members might have among each other. I only have one bond between Sinithil and Gorm on the Druid character sheet and one on the Barbarian sheet. Sinithil has, Gorm has tasted my blood, and I theirs. We are bound by it. Gorm has, Sinithil's ways are strange and confusing. After looking over these bonds, it doesn't seem likely that Sinithil has known Gorm that long to know Gorm's father, which this dragon is mistaking him with. That was my idea, that Gorm's father was the one that slayed the dragon that took one piece of treasure. Let's ask the fate chart if Sinithil knows Gorm's father. If so, then she would have recognized him in the vision. I'm going to put the odds of this at no way. No way that Sinethel knows Gorm's father. At chaos rank of 6 for a yes, the roll has to be a 25 or less. Let's drop in a D100 and re-roll. Oh, a 7. Is that an extreme yes? No, but it's close. So Sinethel does know Gorm's father. Now, after she sees the vision, Sinethel thinks to herself, it can't be. At that moment, the dragon tells Sinethel, your barbarian has to confess to stealing what I cherish the most. That is the only way you can leave this trap. If not, then your minds will be trapped here in this dungeon for as long as your unconscious mortal bodies can survive without food and water. At that moment, the noises of the cave could be gradually heard again and started to get louder and louder. The noises of the rats can also be heard now, and then slowly the fog dissipated completely. Sinethel, while still kneeling, looks up, and the first thing she sees is Gorm, his back facing her. Gorm is sitting on a big rock, taking watch, with his broadsword at the ready to protect the group. She then stands up and walks slowly to Gorm. She asks Gorm softly, Gorm, how are you doing? He replies, oh, Sinethel, you're back. Did you learn anything in your visions? She didn't know how to tell Gorm of what she had seen. She is now standing next to Gorm and asks him, Gorm, what happened to your father again when you were a young child? Gorm looked up at Sinethel and replied, our village was under attack, and he told me to stay in a hut and hide in a pile of hay. He told me that he would be back to get me when it was safe enough. She then asks, but he didn't come back for you. Why didn't he come back again? He responds, he lost his life in the battle. He was surrounded by 10 soldiers, took out a few of them, but he died of his injuries. She then asks, didn't they burn his body after he died? He then replied, yeah, that is what the elders of the village told me, that after he died, the enemy soldiers burned his body. They didn't want to give his family a chance to say goodbye. Sinethel became very curious and asked a very important question. Gorm, did you or your father ever travel this far south in the forest realm? And did he tell you that he killed a dragon? You know what? Let's roll on the fate chart for this question. I'm going to put the odds at unlikely that Gorm's father ventured this far south while he was still in Gorm's life, let alone killed a dragon. So a roll of a 50 or less is a yes, so let's drop a D100. Now let's re-roll. And we rolled a 98. That's an extreme no, almost a critical extreme no. So the answer is a complete no. Gorm's father never ventured south the entire time he raised Gorm as a child, and he never killed a dragon while raising Gorm either. This extreme no, almost a critical extreme no, means that Gorm's father never died in that battle. He may still be alive. Okay, now let's get back to the narrative. Gorm looked at her curiously and said, we never ventured this far south. No, not at least as long as I knew him. Then she asked a follow-up question. Gorm, do you remember what Avon said to us when he asked the spirit of the dragon questions? He said that the man that slayed the dragon looked a lot like you. Gorm took a deep breath and answered, Damara and I spoke about that. And Damara immediately looked at Gorm, and Gorm to Damara. And then Damara said, do you think it could be? And Gorm looked around, said, I don't know. It's been so long. Who knows? And Avon looked at both of them. What are you guys talking about? And Damara looked at Avon and said, it's okay. We'll talk about it later. But as I told her then, it has been so long since I've seen him. But the elders told me he died. I miss him so much. Sinethil has a few tears running down her face, and then tells Gorm, Gorm? Gorm then looks up at Sinethil and notices the tears running down her face, and then tells Gorm, there's something I need to tell you. And with that, we end the scene and the first season of our Wilona's Cave Adventurers. I hope you all enjoyed it and enjoyed the season. So what I'm going to do from here on out is I'm going to complete a campaign and then go on to another campaign, so there's less confusion between episodes. Now for some bookkeeping with Mythic, I am going to raise the chaos factor from 6 to 7. We have completed a thread, which was who put the party in the dungeon. We now know that it was the spirit of the dragon that did that, due to what appears to be Gorm's father in the past stealing a single piece of treasure that was very special to the dragon. Are there any new threads to add right now? Yes, there is. The dragon stated that Gorm needs to confess to stealing the dragon's special treasure item. How the heck is that going to work out now? And that's about it. I hope you all enjoyed the episode. If so, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I am very appreciative that you watched another episode of Wilona's Cave. Happy gaming, everyone. Bye.